Willkommen zurück alle zusammen. Ich hoffe, dass das Video gestern in Ordnung war und für alle geklappt hat, denn ich habe noch eins für heute. Welcome back everyone. I hope you guys did okay on the video yesterday. From what I saw you did. So we've got another video today just to see if we can maintain this. And today we are going to talk about something that is actually review. Well, yesterday was a little bit of review as well. But you guys learned in German 1, some of you with me, some of you guys with Simmons, the modal verbs. Now we had already talked about the modal verbs when we started reviewing at the beginning of the semester. And I told you that there were 6 modal verbs and a 7th that you learned as a separate modal verb, but that's really just another modal verb or another version of one of the 6 modal verbs. I want you guys to please write down all 6 of those modal verbs and the English translation for each of them. Okay, if you don't have them down yet, pause the video really quick. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through and write them down for you guys. Starting on the bottom, I'm going to put möchten, mögen, müssen, wollen, sollen, dürfen, and können. That's a K in the front. So, repeat out loud with the video, please. Können, dürfen, sollen, wollen, müssen, mögen, möchten. Okay, so those modal verbs, hopefully you guys have all the meanings down, and they are to be able to easily remember it as can, to be permitted to be supposed to, or should is the way you guys would often say it, to want to have to, or must, and to like to. This last one, I put it underneath mögen intentionally because this one is would like to. So it is just another form of this verb, and eventually you will learn that form for all of them. But those are the 6 or 7 modal verbs. Now, in this chapter, in the new chapter, what you guys are going to learn is the past tense conjugation of all of these forms, or all of these verbs. For now, what I want you guys to do is make sure that you remember the present tense conjugation of them. Now, these verbs do not follow the S1010. Okay, the established 1010 shortcut for conjugation. It does not work on modal verbs, so do not use it. Instead, there's a pattern that applies to all of them. First of all, the majority of them are going to have a stem change whenever you're going through. I'm going to highlight all of the ones that have one. Okay, möchte does not. So all of them except sollen, when you're conjugating, have a stem change. But that stem change is only in the singular form. So in the I, you, he, she, and it form. Okay, so for those we have a stem change. So I'm going to use können as my example. You would have ich kann, which of course is very close to can, right? So it's easy to remember. Ich kann. Du, oops, kannst. Yeah, sie and es kann. Okay, so singular forms, you have a stem change. This is what is considered your stem, this whole thing. in the I and the you, or the I and the he, she, and it form of this verb, and of every single one on the top, there is no additional ending. It is just the stem. Whenever you have the you form, you're still adding your st. Okay. The plural side is easier. So we've got wir, ihr, and sie, and of course the formal. And it is very regular. So können, könnt, and können. So there is no stem change on this side. You have the regular S1010 endings on this side. So no change. The singular form is very strange. So this is the form you have to make sure that you remember how the stems change. This pattern, again, is the exact pattern for every single one of these. So I'm just going to highlight what the endings are. Of course, we have no endings in some of them. So those are the endings. And then when you're going through, I'm just going to go through and put down the new stems. So dürfen, the new stem, if you have singular when you have the stem change, is darf. So ich darf, er darf, but wir stays the same, no stem change, wir dürfen. Then I had said sollen does not have a stem change. So the stem stays soll. But the endings are the same as right here. No ending, st, en, and t. Then for wollen, there's a stem change. This becomes will. So in the singular form, that O becomes an I. Now don't confuse this. Just because this looks like will does not mean this is the future tense. It still means to want to. Müssen becomes muss. And mögen becomes mag. So these are the stem changes just for singular. You're going to put these endings. So no ending st, no ending ent and en. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a quick activity to do with those verbs just to practice to make sure that you have them down. Okay, so here are the questions each one of you is going to look at. I know that the instructions say you're going to do this in groups, but you're actually not. A group of students in this is making plans for the weekend. Please fill in the correct form of the verb, the modal verb that is mentioned. So you have the translation, you don't have to figure out which one it is without that. So you have want, would like, supposed to, can, want, and so forth. But you have to go through and make sure that you can find what you're conjugating for. So for the first sentence you have, hier ist es so langweilig, was, something, wir heute Abend machen. FYI, this should be capitalized. Okay, so this wir is what you're conjugating for. The rest of those I'm going to let you figure out the subject on your own. I want you guys to complete this. Okay, and here's your second activity. For this one, what you're going to do is you're writing 5 sentences on your own. For each sentence, you have to use a subject, a verb, and something else, one of these elements in the back. You have to use one of each for all of them. And you can only use each subject once. So make sure you're only using each one once. And this is a capitalized Z, but it's the beginning of the sentence, so you can either use formal or you can use plural. It's up to you. Make sure that when you're writing your sentences, they're somewhat logical and they definitely have to be grammatically correct. Put these in your composition book.